So I want to ramble on about two things today. So I'm going to try and not spend too much time talking about every little thing, um, and try to talk quickly. Anyway, two things I want to talk about are, of course, how my day went, because I always talk about that, and two, about a documentary I watched tonight called Waiting for Superman. The first thing is Spring Awakening had our final show of the week. We've got another weekend of shows, but we finished with a matinee today. And matinees are weird because the audience is usually a little more subdued, like they were today, and we're usually a little more subdued. Um, we're not used to rehearsing at that hour, and it's earlier in the day, so our voices aren't as warmed up as they would be if we had been talking for the entire day. Um, and so it wasn't a bad show. It was still a really good show, but it was just a little funky. It was just there was something a little bit off. We were just making the tiniest little hiccups here and there. Um, and we were really exhausted because we've been going day after day after day since the start of Tech Week on Monday, and we had one day off before that. Um, so the 3 days rest that we get is very much needed. I'm very happy that we get some rest. Um, yeah, yeah, we need rest. Um, and so I went home and crashed after the matinee, and that was pretty much it. Um, until super late at night, I was like, hey, I want to watch something on Netflix. That's what I feel like doing. So I decided to watch this documentary called Waiting for Superman that I've been waiting to see for quite a while. I didn't realize it was on Instant Play, and I was like, hey, why not? I'll watch it. Um, and it's about American public school systems, specifically the failing public school system. Um, yeah, and that's a really hard documentary to watch, especially coming from somebody who, was just in this public school system that they were talking about. Not the bad failing part. I was lucky enough to be in a high school that was very highly ranked, in a very good part of the world, in a very good part of the nation. So I was lucky in that regards, but there was still stuff that hit home as just, I mean, it was stuff that I knew was wrong and needed to be changed or ended while I was in high school, while I was in junior high. And it just makes no sense to me why some of the simpler things, there's some complex stuff that is hard to fix, but there's some really simple things. There's just people being stupid and not recognizing that it doesn't work, and that there's no benefit to doing so, to doing what they're doing. The most blatant example that I know is what's called automatic tenure in high school, where basically if you're a teacher for more than a couple years in some states, like 2 years in some states, if you're a teacher, you cannot be fired. You cannot be fired. I mean, it's started, like, the idea of tenure started at universities, as a reward to professors that worked for a really long time and really hard to grant them this sort of higher status. But it was a really hard thing, and teachers will work their entire lives, professors will work their entire lives to try and get tenure, and it'd be difficult to get. But at the high school level, you pretty much just have to sit there and not get fired for 2 years, and then you have tenure, and no matter what they do. I mean, it's incredibly difficult to fire a tenured teacher. They'd probably have to commit a crime to get fired. And that did happen at my high school, where there was a teacher that some of my, many of my classmates are aware of. I never had him, but his name was Mr. Congdon, and he was just a terrible teacher. He was just a terrible teacher, but he had tenure. And yeah, he was probably the most tenured teacher at that school. But he was awful. I knew people who were in that class, and they roundly agreed he was racist, I think. Yeah, racist. Or prejudiced, or in some way, and just bad at his job, but it didn't matter. And there were other teachers, like Mr. and Mrs. Woodard, who were fantastic. Everyone loved them. But because they weren't tenured, their jobs were at risk. And they hit the brink of being fired at least once each. At least once for each of them. Because the problem in California is that there's constant budget cuts to the education system. And so schools constantly have to cut back the amount of teachers that are in their schools. But they can't fire the tenured ones. So even if a teacher is good, they might be gone. Because they have to. They have to cut teachers. And those are the only ones available to cut. So why don't we just get rid of automatic tenure? That seems like such an easy thing to do. But the teachers who have tenure and know that they're bad teachers, just they won't let it happen. They won't let themselves lose tenure. It matters to me. I know it doesn't matter to a lot of people, and they try not to think about how terrible these things are. But as somebody going into the performing realm, teaching is actually a very viable option for me, and something I would really love to do. It's not just like a fallback for me. And after seeing this documentary, oddly enough, it makes me want to become a teacher more. Because the documentary states and reinforces the idea that quality teachers are the absolute first step in fixing the education system will not get fixed without quality teachers. And so I just want to be one of those teachers who's just good at their job and cares mostly about the students. So yeah, if performing didn't work out for me, that'd be a viable option, would be teaching. And so I care about how the system works. And everybody should care how the system works, because we're going to have kids soon enough. Some of my friends already kind of do, which is freaky, by the way, but that's a sidebar. And they're going to be going into that exact education system. So we should probably fix it before they're in the middle of it and nothing can be done. We should probably fix it before then. Anyway, that's enough of me talking. How much have I been going? Okay, so this is my longest video, I think, to date. I better cut it off before 10 minutes hits. Yeah, I can rant. Talk to you guys later. Bye.